Hey there, how are you today? I am going to be organizing all my watercolors. You may remember from my studio tour, as well as I actually did a tutorial on how to make this, that I used to have a paint board where it's like a board with little hooks and little bulldog clips to hang the paints off. And they worked great for the other place because I had quite a lot of wall space that was low down. And I also had less watercolor. But since I started to make it my mission to test as many watercolors as possible, I've now collected considerably more paint. And if I were to make those into paintballs, I would have way too many to house, even in the bigger, newer studio. So I have these bookcase shelves reserved for the paints, and I just want to show you guys in this video today how I'm going to be storing them from now on. First of all, this is the space that I have. They're all Billy bookcases. All my bookcases in the studio are for Billy. I think they're really reliable and they're quite good. And the magic tool for my mission is these 40 lipstick organizers. These lip organizers hold 40 lipsticks, and I found that this was the best size for storing watercolors, especially 15ml tubes. So I have bought a lot of these, a lot of these, and we are going to be setting it up. First up, I wanted to put a anti-slip mat on the bookcases themselves before I put the organizers on, because trust me, you will only drag these across the shelf once to realize that you need to put something underneath so that you don't have the lipstick organizers dragging directly on the shelves, because they are it makes like the worst sound ever. So I highly recommend you put something down. In my case, I've just used this anti-slip mat from IKEA. I just cut it to size for all the shelves and I put it down. And then, because I'm going to be storing these lipsticks organizers 2 organizers deep, the back one you can't really see well, so I just want to raise them a little bit. And I found these polystyrene blocks on Amazon, which are the perfect size to just put under the back line of the organizers. So I bought a few of those. Obviously, I would have much preferred something that was recyclable and not polystyrene, but I just kind of ran out of time, and with sorting out the whole house, I just kind of ran out of energy as well to trying to source a better option. So I did go for an easier option. However, I'm sure if you look around, there are much better options than polystyrene if you go for this system. Once the shelves are ready, it's time to prep the lipstick organizers. And the thing I really wanted to do with this is to think about how would I know where to put the paints back if I take the paints out. So I'm making these little tags that I've just cut from my Nutrimart, which I will show you in another video. It's my new best friend. It's going to save me so much time. I've cut loads of these little tags. I'm just going to write the colors and slot them into each slot to say what color should be where. I grab a whole bunch of those little tickets, shall we call them, and pull up the core website. I am doing the core one. I've done most of the other brands and this is my last one, so I thought I've worked out the routine, so I want to show you guys in this video. So we're working on core. Pull up the core website and just start writing the color names of each color. Once I finished writing them, then I put them in the lipstick organizers, and then I get to have the fun game of sorting out all the core watercolors into its right places. while I put these colors in the right places, I wanted to talk to you guys about a thing that keeps cropping up, particularly on the main channel and also on my social media, whenever I share that I've bought more watercolors. And that is, there's always someone commenting, why do you need so many watercolors? Do you need so many watercolors? Why do you keep buying watercolors? You have too many already. You have too many watercolors. That sort of things. And there's so many things I want to talk about, but the first thing that I need you guys to remember is that, well, most of you know and totally understand that this is my job and testing watercolors is what I do. It's my full-time job. And basically, I started this channel because I found buying watercolors really confusing, and I ended up spending loads of money before I started YouTube on trying to find the right paint, and I felt really lost and I kept buying paints that I didn't like, and I really wanted to prevent other people from having similar experiences of having to spend loads of money and not finding the exact thing you're looking for. And that's why I started this channel. I thought, well, I've already bought loads of watercolors. I'm happy to carry on. If I can turn this into a job, I can put any money that I earn from doing YouTube and Patreon back into buying more paints. Then if I can buy them and test all the colors for everyone, then hopefully somewhere that there will be people that will save money by watching my channel and being able to look at the watercolors before they buy them, so that they can avoid buying the watercolors that they don't want and therefore have more money to buy the watercolors that they do want. Now, I've never claimed to want to save people money overall, because I don't think that's possible. If I show people watercolors, then people are going to want to buy watercolors. So on the whole, I'm not going to save you any money, probably. I'll probably end up making you want to buy more. However, I want you to be able to spend all your money on the right paints for you, rather than buy paints that you don't like and you never end up using. This is why I buy so many watercolors, so that you don't have to buy all of them to find out which one's your favorite. You can have a look at my videos and figure it out. That's why I have so many. And no, obviously, I don't know why people ask this, but no, you do not need this many watercolors if you're just into doing watercolor painting. I just have this many because I need to test them for people to be able to make really good purchasing decisions. The other thing I want to say is that it's a lot of shame around watercolor collecting, and I want to state here now that to buy some watercolors to do painting with is one hobby, and there is actually another hobby, which is collecting watercolors, because I am not the only one that buys watercolors because they're just so much fun to have and to swatch and play with. There's a lot of people out there that really just enjoy that act of buying paints and swatching them and playing with their swatch cards, and not necessarily force themselves to paint anything that they don't want to just because they have the paint. And I think there's two parts to it. There's one is that a lot of people put shame on people for having too much art supplies. And my message to those people is that I think people can have as much art supplies as they want, as long as they're not getting into debt to buy those supplies. So if you're not getting into debt to buy watercolors, I think you're fine. And if your hobby and your interest and your joy comes from collecting watercolors, definitely go for it. It's fun. And also, people, stop shaming them. They just have a different hobby from what you get from watercolors. There's just so much shame, and like people who collect watercolors have so much guilt. I hear so many of you say, oh, I have more paint than I could paint in a lifetime and I just feel so bad. Don't. if you enjoy them, if you enjoy collecting them, then just enjoy that hobby. Some people will enjoy both, and I think that's awesome as well. But if you are just into collecting watercolors, why not? There's collectors everywhere. I know that was a bit of a rant, but I thought it was really important to cover this. I just want to stand my grounds with people on this. There will be no watercolor collecting shaming tolerated on this channel or my main channel anymore. I will delete any comment that is about shaming me or anybody else for how much watercolor they own. This is what we are into. This is what we're interested in. I barely buy anything other than watercolor supply, and I think all my money that I earn from this business goes back into watercolor. Thankfully for this video, I had Core amazingly send me all of their paints, so I didn't have to pay for this, but a lot of what I'm about to show you is bought by the money I've worked from this business, and I've put a lot of money back into this business so that I can buy more paints to test and show you guys so you can save money at home. I think it's time for a coffee break, and I have my decaf coffee and I am eating these amazing cookies from I Love Mole. A friend of mine got me a box of these and I've been obsessed with it ever since, so I highly recommend it. It's like a really crunchy cookie with dipped in chocolate with ginger pieces in the middle. It's out of this world good, really good. Also, I know in this shot it looks like everything is tight in the studio, but just swinging the camera a little bit, you'll see this pile of mess. It's all the DIY stuff, and there's nowhere else for it to go other than in the studio right now because it's the biggest room, and so that's going to be over there for a while. And then there's this whole pile over here that I don't know what to do with yet because it's various things that just need sorting out. And this is how it's turned out. I am super happy with it. I think it's a great way to compactly store all the paints, but without it being in like a drawer or a box all mixed up. It's in chromatic order, which I'm really happy with. It also makes great colorful addition to my studio because my studio is mostly white, so to have all these rainbows on the shelves is amazing. I have created this secondary area for all my Holbein stocks because Holbeins are really expensive over in the UK, whereas they are ridiculously cheap in Japan. They're like $2 each. It's that cheap. This is why I say never pay Jackson price for Holbein, because they're so cheap in Asia. And so whenever I go to Japan, I buy a whole load, and yes, I do use all of them because I use them a lot in my Patreon, and I needed an easier way to manage the stock and see how many tubes I have left in each color and be able to easily restock. And so I use the same system, just one row per color instead of just stacking them all really tightly. So that takes up 2 shelves. I've calculated that you can have 7 of the organizers per shelf. It's a little bit annoying that it doesn't fit quite perfectly. I was hoping I could fit 8, but you can fit 7 now, which means you can store 280 tubes of watercolor per shelf. And I think you can fit all 7 of these shelves in one bookcase if you don't put other things in there. So that means you can actually store up to about 1,960 tubes. So I think that's gonna be plenty for anybody, including myself. And I have estimated that I have about 1,120 tubes stored in this system. I do have other tubes. I know I have tubes coming out of my ears because it's my job. So I think this is a really compact and pretty way of storing all these paints. It definitely wasn't the cheapest, and I will leave link below to the lipstick organizer if I can find them on Amazon US for you. But I think for a new studio and this being my job, I think just about I can justify allowing the cost into doing this. It will also make a lovely background for any of my videos that I do where I'm talking from my desk, so that's totally awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you give this a go, then do let me know how you get on. I absolutely love it, just how pretty it is as well as how tidy everything is. Yeah, I'm super happy with it. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching this vlog, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!